So this week's question comes from Simon in Melbourne. Simon asks, with the huge surge in meetings and group events happening online, it seems easier than ever for people to sit through an entire meeting without saying a word. Too often, I find myself asking at the end of the meeting, does anyone have anything they want to add? What about those we haven't heard from yet? But that's when I realise I probably haven't done enough to get those people talking earlier. My question is, how do you get everyone contributing to meetings, virtual or not? Well, Simon, great question. We've all been in that scenario where a handful of people do all the talking in meetings. They're the first to express an opinion, they're the first to answer questions, they're the first to challenge. But let's give them a break, because why wouldn't they? Chances are they're the ones who are naturally comfortable talking, they're naturally comfortable processing their thoughts out loud, and here's the clincher, naturally uncomfortable with silence and pauses. And so, in order to make the meeting a good one, they play to their strengths. They keep the energy up and the ball rolling. And in all honesty, if you're the one who called the meeting, you're probably glad there's at least a couple of more vocal people who you can rely on to get things moving. But these are also the people who often confide to me that they're secretly annoyed that they're the ones who keep doing all the talking, all the heavy lifting, annoyed with themselves as much as with others. And in the meantime, you've got all these other people here who aren't sure whether they should speak, whether they can speak, or they're just struggling to get a word in. And as a facilitator or as someone who's convening a meeting, I always think, well, it's my job to help remove that pressure. So, what to do about it? Well, at its simplest level, I think the answer is don't be lazy. Because truth be told, way too often meetings are just under-designed. Too often people rock up to a meeting and the first time they think about the best way to run that meeting is as people start talking. Or don't, as the case may be. Now that's not a deal breaker if perhaps the first thing you talk about as a group is what's our purpose here today and what's the best way for us to go about it. But even better is to do these three things in advance of every meeting. 1, ask yourself, how can I help people prepare their thoughts before the meeting? What questions do I want them to answer? What do I want them to read or reflect on and come ready to discuss? Can I even get them to start sharing their ideas in advance? What you do before a meeting to help people with that is perhaps the most important way to spend your time. Okay, so the second idea is design for input. Choose a couple of methods that you can use to get everyone's points of view out and on the table and decide on some key moments to do that. Now there's heaps of methods you could choose from here. Perhaps it's getting people to talk in small groups first before bringing their ideas back. Perhaps it's using a live polling tool so that everyone can contribute without talking. Tools such as Menti.com or Slido. Or maybe it's giving people individual reflection time and a chance to post their thoughts into a shared working space. Spaces such as Trello, a Google Doc, Miro, or one of the many other great collaboration tools that is just readily available and so easy to use. That's right. The third and final thing is you've got to show people how much you want it. Just thinking of this as a process issue isn't going to cut it. You need to lead here and do it with real purpose. Try calling out your desire to hear from multiple people. Tell them why that matters so much and invite some ideas about how to make that easy. Bearing in mind my first 2 suggestions in this video. There's one leader I work with who does this really well. He'll say something like, I'm keen to make sure we don't slip into default thinking on this, so I really want to encourage us to get a whole range of ideas on the table. And I'm thinking the best way to do that is to give everyone at the table a chance to throw at least 2 perspectives in the mix. Now, I don't know the best way to do that, but let's give it a crack. And I love his vulnerability in that too. He doesn't have all the answers. All of this, no matter what you do, comes down to one thing. How do you make it not just possible, not just desirable, but safe. Safe for everyone to contribute in meetings without fear of what'll happen as a result. So that people aren't sitting there feeling anxious about speaking up, consciously or unconsciously, and that's something I'd love to keep exploring with you in future videos. So there you have it, 3 tips for getting everyone talking in your next meeting. Give them a crack and let me know how you go. Thank you, Simon, for your question today. You're welcome. Of course, if you want tips like this delivered straight to your inbox, VIP style, make sure you have signed up at my website, simondowling.com.au. But I will see you next time. Ding! Oh, I'm absolutely keen to get your perspective, but I'm also keen to hear from a few others, if that's okay. Birds.